Okay, it's Hollywood Balls with me, Geordie Pete Redding. Very excited for my next guest. Been trying to get a hold of him. He's probably the busiest man in Europe so far. Just to give you a little bit of an idea of what he does. Well, he's a musician, a lawyer, a product designer, and a system architect. Whatever that may be to Geordie Pete, he doesn't know. He's from the University of Maryland, graduate, and he resides in Cyprus with his family. What link does he have to football? I can hear you asking. Well, we're about to find out. So it's my great pleasure to welcome Steve Van Zoofen from The Football Coin. Hi, Steve.
Good morning. How are you? Thanks for the great introduction.
No problem. It's what we do best. You know, we like to try and get some of the great guests on, and it's certainly an interesting one. As I say, The Football Coin. We've got to ask you before we start. How's Cyprus this morning? How's the vibe there?
Well, we have perfect weather. You know,
yeah.
we've had some political scandals here that made the newspapers as well.
Okay.
But the worst thing, the best thing's the weather and the beach. The worst thing is they banned shisha yesterday, which is really disappointing for me.
We were just talking briefly off air, much to your chagrin. Yeah, Steve's not a happy chappy. So we'll move swiftly on from that. We're going to get straight into it. So you've got to tell us. What is the football coin exactly for those people that don't understand? Okay,
so the football coin is a digital asset, just like Bitcoin.
Okay.
Now, unless someone's been living under a rock or in a remote island, they've certainly heard of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I think many people are still a bit mystified by it and wondering, is that a real industry? What is that? Is it good or bad? Is it real or not? That industry has become huge. That's a $350 billion market now, where there's exchanges where people are trading. I think Bitcoin, according to the big banks in Switzerland, it's the fifth largest currency traded between nations over cross border. So the football coin is just like Bitcoin. But it's much easier to use, much easier to understand, and it's used within our football app, which is something unique as well.
Okay, so it's a football app. Now, just going back to saying, because people do know about Bitcoin, everyone's heard of it, and you say that some people, they don't. I suppose it's like anything, Steve, really, isn't it? Something that's different or something that changes the constant dynamic. People think, oh, well, what's that? Why would I have a Bitcoin when I'm used to having euros, dollars, or pounds, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's a bit of a strange animal because it's these digital assets, or commonly they call them cryptocurrencies.
Yeah,
don't really replace things like the dollar or the euro. They're usually used for specific purposes. They have to have some kind of real use, like the New York subway token was the way you paid for rides on the New York subway.
Sure.
Bitcoin was a secure way to store digital wealth in a way that governments couldn't interfere with it, and in a way that human beings couldn't ruin it with bad decisions about increasing the supply of tokens and making your value decrease. So but this is a very exciting world, and I've become quite accustomed to kind of evangelizing that industry and helping people understand. It was an industry created by computer nerds and the cryptographers, and they were my generation, people like me actually, and it was created in response to the 2008 crisis, which almost everybody suffered to some degree through, where we just kind of, all the nerdy smart guys kind of had it and said, we really need to create something, some kind of stable store of wealth that can't be interfered with by Wall Street or governments. And that became a massive success and led to really something which was just a nerdy web project to become mainstream. Wall Street's buying into that. It's become legal. And now that opens up the opportunity for people to participate in alternative, I don't want to call them money systems because they're not money systems, but new value that can be created in these tokens can go to people. The average common people can actually get the value that they're helping to create by using those tokens.
And can anyone get involved? I mean, is it open to? Do you just sort of pick, like, let's take your football coin, for instance? You join what I assume is an app. Is it open to anyone, or?
Yeah, ours is groundbreaking, Pete, because up till now, this cryptocurrency industry has been really hard for people to understand and get involved in. You have to be very techy, you have to be very patient to learn complicated new things and ideas. That's why that industry is around 10 million people, which is very small. Yet $350 billion were created by those 10 million people. Right. But the football is something very simple. In Bitcoin, people would use computers to help, help add value to the Bitcoin network, and they would receive Bitcoins in exchange. It's called mining. Very complex to run a Bitcoin mining, or you could buy Bitcoin. Then you had to know how to use exchanges, how to create wallets, how to do secure key storage. The football coin is the simplest thing. You just have to know how to log into an app, do the thing you love, and then you can actually buy beer with it at pubs and do.
Sounds good to us.
Really, it is kind of, I think, one of the first examples of digital assets for the masses, something they can easily get into and use straight away.
And for football fans, it just sounds perfect. It's the game you love, with an opportunity to, I would assume, there are rewards once you join the app, and that's how you probably push up your earnings. Am I right?
Exactly. One of the big complaints, and it's getting bigger and bigger in the news now with Twitter and Facebook and all these, we hear these personalities like Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg, and how many billion dollars they've accumulated, and they're acting like ancient Babylonian emperors, aren't they? And we're all getting kind of tired of it. But one thing we know is there's a lot of money in that digital media, as evidenced by the wealth those companies have. And we also know that we are the ones creating that wealth, aren't we? By staring into the computer. Yes, they're also doing their part at Facebook, creating the technologies, but they're not sharing any of that wealth with the people who really make up the network, all the people who provide the content, all the users that are having to watch the ads and are giving their digital attention. They're not getting cut in on this huge pool of $1 trillion of wealth. That's how much the top 4 social networks are worth together. So actually, what we wanted to do with the football app is kind of represent the spirit of community that does exist in the football world, and to create a beautiful social network that would also share revenue with the users. And that is how we're using that digital token. So they just do what they love. They're applying their digital attention to the football app instead of to maybe other sources, and as part of the reward and the new models that are possible now, we let them earn these tokens there that can gain value in the market. And the value is also that advertisers have to buy this token to pay for ads, so they have to buy it off the fans in the future. Right, is the idea.
So you're creating a currency for the future, basically. So I would imagine that the goal is that everyone sort of interacts around that. So whether you, in everyday life, maybe you go and buy a football kit, some new boots, for instance, or you're going to a game, you might be able to, in the future, pay with this football coin, right?
You got it. And I'm a football fan, but not in the same sense or intensity level that you are. I'm a huge fan of sports, but partly the reason that we chose football is I've lived in Europe for 19 years, and when I was in Canada and US, of course I was in every sport, but here it's football. And I just have been amazed at the sheer passion and intensity of the rest of the world into that sport. And I realized what what's obvious to football people, but is not obvious to people in US or Canada who are not. The football community is the largest community in the world. It's bigger than any religion. It's bigger than any country. And if you're going to do something new like this, it's best to do it in a really large community. And it is meant, as you said, to help facilitate and power the digital economy that is created through the football app for the 3.5 billion people who love football worldwide.
I've got to say, it's a heck of a vision, and you know, it seems when you say it now, it just looks simple, and you would think to marry something like a currency to something that's big, football, it's just a genuine fit. Now, am I right in thinking that this is the first quality social network globally for football fans? So wherever you are in the world, you can join this app, right?
Yeah, yeah. We know there are, hundreds of football apps. A lot of them have to do with the live scores or little niches, or, each club has an app, but they're not really social networks like Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, right? And the challenge has been that everybody, of course, would love a football social network, but building it is immensely difficult.
Sure.
You can imagine, Facebook, if we were to teleport over to their offices today, we would discover they have 20,000 software developers. So imagine 10 really talented developers even, to try to take that on and to build a product that can beat that product. The bar is really, really high. It takes really tremendous talent and dedication and a lot of money, but time is money, right? A lot of time dedicated to the project to actually field something like this. And we felt that we were very fortunate that if we, weren't a bunch, I've worked with some of the best developers in the world and have, partnered with them, and some considered me a extremely fast and good developer. We took 18 years of code that we've used from projects that we built through all the last 18 years and built 3 years on top of that. So we were very lucky that we were in a position to be able to field something like this. And the goal was not to build, something worse than Facebook. It was to build something much better than Facebook, themed around football. It's still a social network primarily, but that football theme, you start with the clubs, you saw the news and everything, and the chat, combining, let's say, the coolest 5 things that are happening on the web all into one, themed around football with an earnable currency. It was really an incredible undertaking, and we're very, very fortunate that it came out as well as we hoped that it would.
And of course, I had a snoop around it yesterday and spent most of the day. And I've got to say, when people do join up, just beware. Make sure that, don't say to yourself, I'm going to give myself an hour to have a look at this, because you will be on it all day. There are so many cool things to do. I mean, you get asked you put your team in. So obviously Newcastle United were put in where you live. And I'm in the United Arab Emirates in Dubai. So then you get basically, you get where there's a chat room for people who are in the UAE. Then there's the global one, and then there's the news on your team. There's certain competitions that the one which everyone's going to love, and people love to do in the UK, where I'm from originally, is predict the score. Now, if you predict the score, it gives you sort of, a real interest and meaning at the weekend games of what's taking place, because you're going to be earning points to earn football coins by predicting a score, right? It's amazing.
Yeah, that is one of the hit features, and everybody loves to do that. And we found that breaks all the age and sex barriers. We have 7-year-old kids, 80-year-old women doing the predictions every day. They just love it. And it does allow them to pay, because it doesn't cost them anything. It's not betting. There's no wager. It's just fun. But they are earning something of value in exchange for their time, and they're having a lot of fun. And just like you said, it allows casual fans to really get a little deeper into the games, to follow more of the matches than they might otherwise, and they just enjoy it more. It's really quite something beautiful. And yeah, the app is a little bit more like an amusement park than a ride. So it does take a little bit of time to orient. A very similar dynamic to the iPhone. If you compare the Instagram is the iPod, right? It's a very simple, a one-dimensional thing. You get in there, you're posting pictures, you're trying to follow people, and you just rinse and repeat that formula. The football app is more like the iPhone, where it's combining a lot of different apps together into one. And so you can, if you got the enthusiasm to discover it, and the chat rooms are a good way to do it, because the other users will help you find the gold nuggets or the greatest hits inside the app. And there's many, predictions being one of the hottest areas in there.
And I have to say as well, given the times that we're living in, what's nice about it, what could be better? You're earning while doing something you enjoy. But what I noticed was, as I say, in these, we can't get away from it. These are unprecedented times, and they can be a bit gloomy. But when you step into the app, everyone is so welcoming, supportive. There's fans from Chelsea, Manchester United, Liverpool, Newcastle, all mixing together. It's just like it's like going to a game within an app.
Yeah, it's really, I can't say that it was intentional. It's something that we saw develop and we just fostered it. Sometimes magic happens, where I didn't know it would come out that well, but it's a sense of community, and it's people all around the world uniting around football. And these are people with that normally might be fighting. We have Cypriots and Turks in the app. That's like cats and dogs politically.
Sure.
But there we're having a common theme of love of the sport, sense of community, sense of earning tokens. We're finding our common interests, and the same with people from other ethnic groups. So it's really cool to see that. And it is, there's a lot of negative energy out there, as we know, with the news, a lot of things happening. There's a lot of bad things happening, but also there are special things happening. So, it's good to focus on the ones where we can make productive use of our energy. And, it can lead to a really good place. This is a huge new model, a new experiment of sharing wealth with people and allowing them to generate, to create their own, to monetize their own human value for attention to digital. Yeah. And at a time people need it. And we have a very, our advertising is specialized around small businesses, which are hit the hardest here. They don't have the support of the banks. They're the ones getting locked down. They're not getting bailouts. And our app is meant to boost those small businesses, to give them a very easy way to reach their local audience in their town. So we're very proud that those dynamics inside the football app, are creating some really positive things for people to kind of rally around and use.
And something else that you haven't touched on, because you're not one to beat your own chest and blow your own trumpet, but I'm amazed by this. I think that when you started out, and I've had a look at it, as I say, I've been researching it, but the growth daily in people joining it's quite phenomenal, isn't it?
It is. One of the building apps is one thing, but getting people to stay and use an app for 20 minutes a day and have them invite other people so that there's growth in the network, or called organic natural growth. It's a miracle when it happens. I mean, it's happened only if it happens, it ends up being one of the top 15 apps in the world, right? The kind of apps that actually can retain people's attention and that people invite other people without, organically, that's a really incredible thing. And so even if it's, and it's interesting because we are growing at the same pace as Twitter in the early days, the ratio of growth. So even though it's, hundreds of thousands of people and every day there's a certain number of people joining, when we look at that ratio, we have something incredible happening there. And if we were to just fall asleep and wake up in a year, we expect within 18 months with no promotion, there will be more than 1 million people in the app. And that cascades quickly. Once you start at that level, you start also getting a lot more publicity, and you add that with your natural growth. And then within a few years, you're in the tens of millions of people. There's no guarantee that happens, but as of now, that is what is happening. And I don't expect, and the app is still getting better every day. More and more people are actually, talking about it. So it looks really good from where we are, how the prospect is for growth from where we are.
Speaking of the app, I'm going to have to let you go because I've got to get back on it. But before I do, How can people, just give us, a website where people can go and see the information and decide for themselves, yeah, I want to be a part of this. Where can people sort of log in and register?
Yeah, so the place, they can find it in either app store under the TFA, which stands for the football app,
Yeah,
TFA. If they can't find it, if it doesn't come up because it's not indexed in their country, they can search under the football app, and it's spelled with the Spanish spelling,
football.
FUTBOL. The football app, Spanish spelling, one word, and you'll find it. There's a panda icon on the app, so they'll look for the panda. And so either app store you can find it, and then once you do find it, and once you do register, go into the chat rooms and actually let the people there guide you through
Yeah.
the amusement park, because that'll be the best way to get oriented, and other people will help you find the good stuff.
And with regards to rewards, I mean, you were telling me as well. So if and when, more likely when, you do join up, because it's great fun. If you were to say I was to introduce a friend to it, and you get rewarded for that as well, right?
Yeah, you do. When you invite a friend and they join from your link, as of right now, this promotion is going to run for another month or so.
Okay.
You get 50,000 points, which converts into 10 TFC.
Yeah.
When you first activate your wallet, you also get 10 TFC for the first time when you join. 10 TFC, you can spend for 50 euros of beer and food, and there's 20 different businesses in Cyprus who will accept that token, and it's growing around the world now. And so that is actually really fun, that you're immediately getting kind of a spendable token. That's good in California, that's good as some places in Thailand, there's a few places in Hong Kong, and there's 100 plus places in Cyprus that are already accepting it just in the first 9 months.
So in simplicity itself, what it's like is like going to the game, seeing your friends, guessing who's gonna win the game, predicting the score, everyone getting together, having a chat, and all at the same time that you're doing that and enjoying, you're earning. I mean, what's not to love?
Yeah, well said.
Well, listen, Steve, it's been an absolute pleasure. What we will do is ask you to come back onto Hollywood Balls in a few months' time and give us an update of where we were at. I'm off to join and invite loads of friends, and we wish you a very good day in Cyprus.
Thanks so much, Pete.